Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me here today to your virtual conference and actually the discussion about what's next in digital transformation. That's of course one of my real one of the points that I really like to talk about every time I'm out. If you don't know IDC, we are a research company, and we are doing a research all over the world, covering 110 countries, and actually as we speak, we have conducting all kinds of new research. And what we're going to talk about here today is what's next in digital transformation. And actually the answer is quite easy. It's data. At the end of the day, what we're talking about when we're talking about digital transformation is of course data. And if we put it down to just the simplest form, or I like to actually coin it like this: digital transformation, or what we are doing digitally, is about produce, compute, and use data as close to real time as possible. Of course, the real sort of important part here is, what does real time mean when it comes to that? And as we see it, that's one of the most important part of what is going to go on when we're talking about digital transformation. It is actually what and how do we use data. And at IDC, we produce what we call a global data sphere, looking at how is the sort of how is data, how much data are we producing, and how are we using it. And you can very quick get sort of confused or blinded by the numbers here. But looking at this, you can see that we are producing tremendous amounts of data, and the real important part here is, how are we using it? So if we look at the data produced, we can see that the data that we can actually use right here, right now, the 15% fit into AI, meaning fit into AI in the way that here's data ready to use and be used in the modern technologies and the way that we would really like to do it. And when we move a bit further out, we look at data analyzed, tagged, and useful if tagged. So we are at a point where we have so much data that we can work with, but only a very, very small proportion of it is actually ready to be fit into, for instance, AI. And moving forward, years beyond, we'll see that the sort of the data amount will grow, and we'll get even a lower proportion of that being able just to feed it into AI. So that's sort of the task that we're up against. And that's why we're talking a lot about the data maturity journey when we're looking into 2021 and beyond 2021. So what we're looking at here is a need to get on this data maturity journey and look at data consolidation, data visualization, data analytics, and data monetization as steps in this data maturity journey to actually move on and utilizing and get the full value of digital transformation moving forward. And of course, you could say, well, that was the easy answer. What's next in digital transformation? That's data. But it doesn't stop here, of course. Looking at where we are right now, we've seen the pandemic and the COVID-19 crisis actually underscore the necessity of digital transformation. At IDC, we have actually turbocharged the way that we report and actually create data over these past 6 months. Numbers that were usually updated every quarter or twice a year has been updated monthly. We've done bi-weekly surveys for buyer sentiments all over the world, and created this model, which is a tech index, indicating how will the IT spending develop, and how is the sentiment for IT spending right now. And as you can see, well, we are below the 1,000 still, but actually compared to where we were back in summer, May, June, we are moving forward. Small advertisement here. I put in some links, so you afterward, when you have the presentation, you'll be able to go in and look at more research here, which is also free about the COVID-19 situation. But taking this into the Nordics, interestingly enough, we can see that right now with these numbers, which are the latest available from our Black Book on IT spending, we are barely seeing a fall in the Nordics when it comes to IT spending. We are just below zero, so yes, we are declining in IT spending, but it's just barely, and already next year we'll see the situation change and improve dramatically. So just to underscore that what we have seen when we're talking about digital transformation is getting more and more dependent on also the industries and how the businesses in each country is actually running. So in countries with manufacturing, well, we see one type of IT spending, and of course, when it's services, energy, and so on, it's another type of spending. And this is getting more and more important to understand how the IT spending is developing, but also how digital transformation will evolve from here. One of the models we have created is a model looking at where are we when we are talking about the recovery and these are the numbers from the Nordic and European organizations compared to the crisis starting, slowdown, recession, and getting back into recovery. And we are still well, heading down or at the bottom, hopefully, and will be able to flatten the curve moving forward by focusing and using technology and actually setting digital transformation in the driver's seat is an important part of that. So thinking about it, what we need to speed up here is the merging of the business platform and the technology platform into digital transformation. And this takes not a village, but not only one organization, but a network of organizations and a lot of collaboration to do that. Because what we are looking at when we are looking at next in digital transformation is creating what we call the digital innovation factory, because this is where we see and focus on the top part here, that we need data sources, we need development, either heads or machines, and we need to distribute the code and the services, the applications and the services. And what we are seeing speeding up here is the percentage of organizations with daily code deployed. And another thing is that we see a speed up in the sort of in the amount of or the percentage of code from external sources used in this development. And this is actually where we are talking about how you can collaborate, where you can create new services and actually merge, not only within your, not merging your business platform and your technology platform, but also within your industry and within your peers in the industries. So creating this digital innovation factory is sort of the key point to get there, because what we're looking at is that in a couple of years we'll see a majority of the global GDP being driven by digital transformed enterprises. We'll see IT budgets or the majority of IT budgets will be for digital innovation and transformation. And we will see from now till 2024, we'll see more than 520 million apps services being developed and deployed compared to 100 million before 2019. Some of these are just small pieces of code, I know, but there's a tremendous growth in new apps and services, which is driven by this digital innovation factory, and this is sort of speeding up digital transformation, or the need for even more digital transformation. We are in a process of moving the traditional IT project to what we call a digital process. So this is a continuous work instead of a project that starts and ends. We've been talking about this for years in IDC. So we've been talking about the third platform technologies, cloud, big data analytics, and of course the ability to get and use data and compute anywhere, every time, mobility, and then social or collaboration technologies. And on top of that, we are seeing the accelerators. We're seeing how robotics, 3D print, AI, blockchain, and so on, AI is actually accelerating the use of these third platform technologies. And that's sort of the process, or the engine in digital transformation. At IDC, we have created what we call a digital platform blueprint, which is to show that, well, what we're talking about when we're talking about a digital platform is not really a platform, but an infinity loop. And the point here is that we have this intelligent core. This is where the services, this is where the compute, this is where sort of the digital takes place. This is cloud solutions, and still some on-premises, but also cloud. But the main focus here, again, data. Data is reaction, transaction, input, output, and so on. And the continuous flow of data through an intelligent core, which can be one or many different processes, of course, is the way we need to think about digital moving forward, and the way we need to think about digital transformation. Right now, we are looking at a sort of future where cloud will be distributed to the edge. So when we're talking about 2021, we're talking about a new trend moving compute closer to the edge, or closer to where its data is produced or used or compute, but out of the centralized corporate data center, and somewhere else. And the point is that we are looking at a lot of endpoints being connected, 38 billion by next year, and core data centers reaching 39,000, and then up to 7 million edge locations. So there's going to be a lot of distribution of data and compute power moving forward. And that's what's going to create this sort of a connected world, the networks, and where digital transformation is really going to be described in the history books. So getting there, I'm just showing you a sneak preview of a survey that we've just finished, the IDC Nordic Cloud Survey 2020. And what we're seeing here in the Nordics is we are already on our way. Multi-cloud is the new normal. More than half of organizations are already using more than 2 cloud platforms at their daily sort of digital use. But more interestingly here is that 40% of Nordic organizations think that edge computing or hyperlocal cloud solution will be essential to or preferred by their organizations as we move forward. So we are prepared, and we are ready probably to utilize these trends in the Nordics. And at IDC, we have, over the last year, created sort of a new outline for the agenda when we're talking about running a digital organization. We call it Future Enterprise, and we have sort of divided it. Instead of talking sort of traditional technology focus, we are talking about different focuses of functions and use in organizations. So this is going to be the future of work, intelligence, digital infrastructure, connectedness, customer and consumers, innovation, trust, industry ecosystem, and operations. And one of the interesting things about the COVID-19, seen from the sort of the researcher's perspective, of course, has been that this agenda that we have created here has been put to the test during the COVID-19. But what we have seen is that the adapt to increase remote work is actually giving us some answers when it comes to workforce can be productive virtually. That we are seeing digital infrastructure scale up with some difficulties somewhere, but actually much easier than we have expected. And in some organizations, this has been a hurdle to actually to get there, but this has been a sort of litmus test on the agility, but also the scalability of many organizations' digital infrastructure and digital solutions so far. Also, the test from the COVID-19 crisis has been about adapting to these rapidly changing circumstances. So how does your organization's analytics models work when it comes to suddenly be able to work in a situation where you need to change as fast as we've seen over these last 6 months, and also how quickly can we stand up new apps? How can we actually include or exclude partners from the ecosystem, and in general, how agile is your organization, and how agile is your digital infrastructure actually right now, and how well is it supporting that change, and not only change, but also the need to be resilient as an organization. So from that perspective, we have, as we see it, seen a litmus test, and again back to the survey, to the cloud survey from the Nordics, seeing Nordic organizations being actually prepared. Over the last 5 years, we have almost every year when we do a survey on digital transformation, we ask organizations to assess themselves in their digital transformation maturity. Are they ad hoc or optimized, or in between these? There are of course 3 other steps on this ladder of digital maturity. And as we've seen in 2020, we've seen in the Nordics organizations actually moving into up on top of the ladder here, moving from enabling digital to scaling digital, from much more in the digital transformer and disruptor way, and less in player, explorer, and of course assister. If we look at it from the 2019 perspective, we can see that that there is a change which is actually, I would not use the word dramatic, but it's a change that's important. So the maturity is high in Nordic organizations when it comes to digital transformation, and that leads to the last point around digital transformation and what we see, and that's the need for leadership when it comes to transforming, but not only do and execute digital transformation, but also lead beyond digital transformation. And the skills needed to go there is actually focusing on computational thinking. When we're talking about leaders, need to understand that modeling is about, and what data algorithms, or what algorithms are about, and what use of data is about. It's about decompose complex problems. It's about understanding abstraction levels, and also having these sort of the imagination, the digital imagination, to see which kind of solutions and services can be used in different business models, and how you can create new business models driven by data, and not only by God's feeling, documented by data afterwards. To get there, you need to be able to facilitate a discussion about what's actually going on, how are processes, how are tasks designed and done in your organization. And finally, you need to design the new processes. You need to design the tasks and processes, combining actually the business platform and business model with the digital and the technology you have at hand or are investing in. So that's what we see next in digital transformation. Quick run through. You get these slides. Feel free to reach out if you need any other comments here. But hope this was useful, even though it was fast.